Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. I begin in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Dear listeners, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. A very good evening and welcome back to Friday Night Fusion, the new sound of Great Britain, broadcasting live and interactive on 93.5 FM, Unity FM across Birmingham and surrounding areas, and alhamdulillah around the UK on our various media partner agencies. Of course, a big salam to all of our partners and our listeners, inshallah. We hope that you have enjoyed the program so far this evening. As always, alhamdulillah, it has been one of a very lively nature, giving you those debates and discussions you look forward to each and every week with myself, Ahmad Bostan Al-Qadri, Will Gregory, produced of course by Taz Hussein. The role of the Muslim community has become very much apparent in recent years, especially after the terrible atrocities of 9/11 and 7/7. I remember clearly when the terrible atrocity of 9/11 happened, many people were looking at Muslims and shouting terrorist, fundamentalist, extremist and other such unpleasant terms that one can't repeat on radio. Indeed, branding Islam as a religion that encourages violence, hatred, division. Of course, it couldn't be further away from the truth, and our obligation as a Muslim community has become more apparent as the years have actually gone on, and as we as a community have faced these particular challenges. As we discussed on last week's program, perhaps it is fair to say that when a community feels as though it is under attack or feels threatened in one particular way, people that perhaps may not have related to Islam before, their religion before, feel a special sense of connection. Something that I've noticed quite clearly is that before 9/11, we didn't see a huge amount of sisters going around wearing hijab or a huge amount of brothers going around with a beard. But after 9/11, and after all these challenges came forward, many of our brothers and sisters have looked more closely into their faith. Indeed, my own motivation to enter the world of media was because I was angry at the fact that my community was being demonized in a very unfair and unjust manner. Recently, in the census of 2011 results that we've studied over the past few weeks, we have seen a significant rise, alhamdulillah, in the amount of Muslims here in the UK. We spoke to Fiaz Mughal, OBE, Director of Faith Matters, last week, who reflected on the fact that this is a mixture of migration, but also a mixture of people actually looking into Islam. They commissioned a piece of research recently showing that one of the significant groups moving towards Islam is actually white middle-class women, and that the amount of people reverting to the faith, accepting Islam, has actually doubled over the past decade. And I'm happy to say that to discuss this matter further with me, I'm joined in the studio by an internationally renowned scholar, somebody who has dedicated his whole life to service of the deen, and a name that you will no doubt hear more and more over the next few years. Sheikh Hamza Maqbul, all the way from the United States of America, Chicago, Illinois to be precise, has graced us with his presence here in Birmingham and the United Kingdom. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Hamza. Jazakallah khair for joining us on Friday Night Fusion today, inshallah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah wa iyyakum.
First and foremost, Sheikh, you're somebody who has actually grown up in a Western country, like I have and many of our listeners have out there. But what drew you towards wanting to serve the deen for the entirety of your life? What was the inspiration there? You could have gone to any other profession that would have been financially or in terms of the dunya, in terms of the world, far more fruitful. Why deen?
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulihi Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam ajma'in. I wanted to preface this talk by saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has hidden the secret of the love of His deen, the love of His own holy essence, the love of His Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the love of the Quran, the love of all things good inside of the heart of every believer. And I firmly believe that this is a path that many people, some you would be even surprised at, many people, was it only that they had the chance, they would have pursued. And I count myself as very blessed and fortunate that Allah Ta'ala made easy for me a road to pursue it, even though there are probably 1,000 and 10,000 and 1,000,000 people who would have dreamed about it. But Allah Ta'ala gave me the tawfiq, and for that I'm eternally grateful. ever since I was a child, I had a love for the teaching of the deen. My father was not somebody that would normally be recognized as very practicing. No beard, no association with any one group or the other, no scholarly background. However, he was a person who always, and still does, may Allah Ta'ala keep him and the rest of the family, in all of our families in a good state, always had love for khair and love for Islam. And so ever since I was a child, I always wanted to study the deen. I had a fascination with the tafsir of the Quran, with the seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But then when I grew up and went to school, I thought it to be somewhat of a distant goal to be able to pursue that path of knowledge and service as a full-time opportunity. But instead I focused my studies toward, and what a surprise, toward getting to medical school. And so I pursued a bachelor's degree in biochemistry, a degree which I did eventually end up completing. And I took the traditional the traditional path in pursuing an education in the medical sciences. I took the MCATs, which are the American entrance exams. In America, you don't get admitted to medical school from high school. Rather, you have to do a bachelor's degree and apply separately. So I did quite well, alhamdulillah, on the MCATs. But what happened in the middle, you had mentioned 9/11 and how it kind of caused a lot of people in our community to reevaluate their priorities.
Sure.
When 9/11 happened, I was the president of the MSA, the Muslim Students Association, at the University of Washington in Seattle, where I had my post-secondary education. And I was taking Arabic classes at the time as well, and the good people in the Near Eastern Languages and Civilization department that offered those classes had such a demand for people to speak about Islam that they asked me also if I wanted to be put on their list of experts on Islam to speak to people, because so many people wanted to know more about this religion that was being associated with the attacks on our country. So what happened was, literally for months after 9/11, not just 1, 2, and 3 places we would go in the same day to speak about Islam.